So my name's Lance Bickle. I was born and raised here in Hayes. I've lived here all my life. I attended Wilson Elementary School, Felton Middle School, or I guess which is now Hayes Middle School, and Hayes High School in here. I have a beautiful wife. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary this year. And two beautiful little girls, Alexis, who is 8 years old, and she attends third grade at Wilson, and Elena, who is 6 years old, and she attends first grade at Wilson. So I guess you could say, I have a vested interest to obviously make sure that, our district is the best it can be. As far as why I chose to run for school district, as with anybody at the time, when I started even kicking this around, well before 4 years ago on this stuff here, I looked at a number of different things. Obviously, I wanted to make a difference and things like that. And obviously, my girls coming up, I felt, that it was definitely a good opportunity for me to go through and try to, help things or to make things better. I followed the board for a long time before that, and I guess I just wasn't real happy with the way things were going. I wasn't happy with the way things were being addressed. I wasn't happy with some of the decisions that were being made, and I guess I made the decision then that I guess I didn't have the right to question things unless I was willing to kind of throw my hat in the ring, for lack of a better term, or be willing to come and not just talk about a problem, but be a part of the solution. So I would say that's probably the main reason that I ran for school board. And having said that, the exciting part to me is I really feel that over the past 4 years that we've made great significant progress at leaps and bounds as far as balancing the budget, putting in the long range planning and things like that, and I still think that there is work to be done in those areas, but I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. Yeah, so as I said, went to Wilson, went to Felton Middle School, went to Hayes High, went to Fort Hays State. As far as business and things like that, when I've gone through and had a fair amount of experience in a number of different areas in management of people and things like that. So I've been fortunate in some of those areas. I did run a successful business here in town for 15 years, and I learned a lot during that time as far as what it takes to make things run properly and what it takes to be successful. The other thing about that is I also feel that I have a unique perspective, I guess, if you will, because I've had the opportunity to serve on a number of other boards as well in the community, like the Chamber of Commerce, the Ellis County Economic Coalition, the USD 49 Foundation, and again, I think all of those kind of give me a unique perspective to be able to look at things from a number of different perspectives as far as moving forward, and making sure things run as efficiently and as smoothly as possible, but also knowing that I'm not afraid to ask those questions, and I'm not afraid to go through and I guess get my feet dirty, for lack of a better term, or get my hands dirty as far as trying to make things as best as possible. We as a school board hire one person in the district, and that's the superintendent. And he or she, in my opinion, really comes in and I guess I look to them as kind of the captain of the ship, or the captain of the boat, if you will. And I guess I look at the school board as the for lack of a better term, the rudder. I guess we're there to steer the district in the right direction. I think there's a very fine line that has to be walked as well, as far as making sure that we're not doing a lot of the micromanaging and things like that. And I do feel that was something that was happening a number of years ago, because I don't think a lot of the trust and things were there. But I think that's something that we've got a very good superintendent in place, and I feel that we need to go through and ensure that he has the opportunity to do his job without us breathing down his neck on everything. I still think there's a fine line as far as asking questions and things like that, but it also comes back to that trusting in the people that you've hired, and I think that we've done a good job on that. I still think that there's additional work and progress that can be made on that, but yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, where I see the differences in that. You know, I think it's something where we have to evaluate all areas. I really don't feel that there's any one area that we can just say all of the money has to go here or all of it has to go there. I think probably one of the most important things that I would like to see in the coming years is to try to funnel some more money back into the classrooms. I do feel that that's an area that has suffered in our district, because that was an area that was definitely, when budget cuts were happening and things like that, additional monies were taken away from the classrooms and things like that. And we have a lot of our staff and teachers that have gone through and spent money out of their own pocket to help in the education and things like that of the kids. And so I feel that's definitely something I'd like to see us, put back into there. But again, I think there's that fine line of being as efficient as possible and being as fiscally responsible as possible, while still making sure that, that we are providing for the students and the teachers for the best way possible. Absolutely. And like you said, I did vote for it to go forward, to the other one. And I think that's probably an important thing to look at is, when the committees, the bond is something that's been studied for years in this community, well before I even got on the board. We had groups of very good people that were put together, community members, different business people, things like that came together to really study the needs versus the wants. And I'm sure you've heard that over the years, but that's something that I feel a lot of them did a very good job on, as far as going through in their time that they spent doing this. And again, this has been a conglomeration of things over years of time. So I think it's one of those where from a bond issue, no matter what direction we go, from a school board, if we would have made a decision to let them take forward a $100 million bond, or if it was a $10 million bond, we have to look at it as not what our personal opinion is, but what does the public say? And ultimately, that's what we did. They came to us and wanted to know not our opinion. They didn't want to know if we thought, hey, if this is a good idea to go forward with a $78 million bond. They wanted to know if they could take it to the community and let them decide. And I feel that that's something we as a board over the last several years, obviously learning from the first bond that was not successful, I felt that we needed to do a much better job of listening to the community. So I know they've done lots of surveys, they've done lots of focus groups and things like that with staff members, community members, and things like that. And I feel that's definitely something that we need to continue to do as far as on the bond stuff. As I said, no matter whether it's a $100 million bond or if it's a $10 million bond, we'll never appease everybody. Nobody will ever be happy with everything that we do. I think we need to work for the betterment of the community and the district in this. And by that I mean, when we're looking at the different amounts and things like that, nobody likes taxes. I'm right there with you. I don't like to pay taxes either, but I also am looking at this from a much better picture, knowing that if we can continue to improve